Hey everybody, this is Andy Hall. You're watching Best Advice Ever, the show where great people come on and talk about the best advice they ever got. Today, we have Neil, the 604 Atheist. Neil is a YouTuber. Yes, a YouTuber. He has a YouTube channel. Neil, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Got my beer in hand. It's after work now, so it's, sky's the limit from here on out.
I like that limit, sir. I like the sky being the limit. You have a great YouTube channel. It's all about people talking about their deconversion stories.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, I've had other people on that talk about, not really being religious, but having influences in their lives that were religiously related sort of thing, or maybe they were in some sort of weird paganistic type thing, or, stuff like that.
Right. A weird paganistic kind of thing. That sounds interesting.
Well, I was once a quote-unquote pagan at one time, too, so.
Oh, really, huh?
Yeah. Well, I was born to Christians, raised as a Jew because I was given up for adoption. And somewhere in my late teens, I was like, this is all crap, and I started looking for other spiritual paths, and I ended up being a Wiccan for a while, other pagan, Nordic gods, that kind of thing. And eventually I was just like, this stuff's all nonsensical, really, in my head anyway. So
sure.
I made a choice somewhere in my mid-30s just to be an atheist, and that's where I am today.
Well, that's good.
With an atheist with a YouTube channel.
An atheist with a YouTube channel. That's right. So how many YouTube videos do you have up at this point?
I'm pretty sure YouTube has deleted some. Probably,
really?
Yeah. They even messaged me that some may have been gone because I think some of the lower view ones, they kind of turf.
Interesting.
Right? But most of my videos, and I've got, probably 200 odd, give or take. Or somewhere between 150 and 200. I think I lost count at 150.
Because you drop videos, 3 times a week?
Yes. Yeah.
So what is that? That's like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing?
Monday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Monday, Wednesday, Saturday thing. Wow.
How about that's the formula that I came up with because Friday nights were usually my band. We'd jam on Friday nights, so we'd write music and rock out and stuff on Friday nights. So we're not doing that now, so I think we do it. We're going to be doing it on Tuesdays because it seems to be the only day that all 4 of us can get together. So
it gets difficult once you get to a certain point in your life where people have children and jobs and
well, none of us have kids. Oh no, the drummer has kids, but they don't live with him.
Okay, good for him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure I don't have any, at least not that I know of, anyways.
Oh, right. You never know about what they might just be floating around in the ether somewhere, right?
You never know, right? I was a pretty wild kid, we'll say.
I heard wild, but in my head I was thinking prolific. Is that what?
More or less, sure.
Prolific, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe prolific. For me, my anxiety disorder always kept me from having too many partners because at any one point there was this discussion going in the back of my head that's like, is this a trap? Is this a trap?
Yeah, General Akbar in the background.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's like, you seem to be very interested in me. That seems to be that's putting up some yellow to red lights, to tell you the truth, in the back of my head.
Yeah. I never saw the appeal. Not to you, but them liking me. Of course.
Oh right, yeah. I always felt like they had to make a very strong case for me, to me. It's like, really? Is this what you're interested in? All right, So I think I've in some way talked people out of having relations with me.
Really?
Maybe.
I don't know if I ever did that.
Yeah. Well, you're not crazy like me. You might be crazy, but you're probably not crazy like me. Exactly. Total. Yeah. It might be a different brand.
Yeah. Different brand of crazy.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I mean, anyone that was goodly enough to, be with me, I was like, all right then, let's give her.
Right. That's great. So I think that might be a good place to pivot to the best advice you ever got, Neil.
There's a couple things that always stood out in my mind. 2 things that were told to me. One was by my father, and he says, when you find something that you're good at, he says, the secret to success is enjoying it. And I didn't know what the hell he meant by that at first. What's he talking about? Like reaping the rewards from what you do? Like, what's that mean? He goes, no. The secret to success is enjoying it. Means you find something that you're very good at, that you love to do, and all the rest follows from there. So I say, find something that you're good to do, you love to do, and that you're good at, and then you'll be as successful as, there will basically be no ceiling on how successful you can be if you do that.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So at what point in your life did he tell you that? Did he tell you that during high school?
No, I was probably in my early 20s, going through college type stuff at that point.
Right. Did you have trouble finding a major or choosing a major when you were in college?
You know what? I didn't really. I did fine arts for a while. I did culinary for a while. I did chemistry for a while, which ultimately became what I ended up doing after years and years of other things. But I never really got a degree in anything. But I now have what's considered what would be, I guess, the equivalent to something like a bachelor's. It's just like certification and stuff like that for what I do now. So, and I think the other piece that really stuck with me was a buddy of mine who if I remember correctly, I think he got this in his military training. Somebody mentioned this to him too. He says, it's better to have and not need than need and not have.
So it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. Did I get that right?
Yes, which you could use on multiple levels, really.
You know, as the economy implodes around us,
yes,
I will mention to my kids every once in a while, you shouldn't have to buy something when you really, really, really need it.
Yeah.
And you really, really need it now, because you're less likely to make good decisions when you feel in the hurt like that.
Right. Yeah.
And the same thing goes for selling something, right? If you really, really have to sell something right now, there's a good chance you're going to get taken advantage of.
Right. Yep. I mean, if you're that gung-ho to get rid of it, yep.
Oh, yeah. So what branch of the military was your buddy in?
Just he was like your average grunt kind of thing.
Oh, just
yeah. He didn't really. I don't even think he lasted much past the boot camp, to be honest.
Oh,
like
really?
He never saw any action or anything. So.
Well, that's good.
He just said that was something that somebody had mentioned to him while he was in the military. So.
Right.
And it always kind of stuck with me because that makes a lot of sense. It's better to have and not need than need and not have what you need.
Right. So how is that influenced, like in a real world way? Can you think of an instance that really rang true for you?
Yeah, it seems I've always kind of, I don't know, I carry a Leatherman. I've got all kinds of little gadgets and tools around me at all times just in case something needs something or someone needs something for something. I go, oh, hang on. And then I can reach in a bag and I've got it. And one of my friends said one time, I got this carry bag that I carry around with me that's got like just about everything in it. He goes, is there anything in there that you don't have? Like, well, I can't park my car in here, otherwise I would. But no, I guess like shit. Someone would be like, oh, I got heartburn. Oh, hang on, I got a bottle of Tums in here. Okay. Oh, I need to cut something. Oh, hang on, I got a knife right here. Or it's anything. It just seems like I always happen to have what people were in need for. So I guess if I would say that had influenced me in any way, it would be just to be like a good Boy Scout, be prepared. So
tell me about the item that you have, or that you typically have with you, that most people are surprised that you do have with you. Is there
an item?
Yeah. Is there something weird that you like to carry with you that you found useful that other people would go, wow, I never really thought about that?
No, not really. I think most people are just surprised that I have a multi-tool on me at all times.
Oh, the multi-tool. That's right.
Yeah, sort of this sucker right here. Right? So, and I've always got this guy on me.
Right. So how many tools are actually in that multi-tool?
Well, we got a knife, a little leather awl, a couple of screwdrivers, of course the wire clipper and the stripping and the what do you call it? Why am I blanking out?
It looks like needle nose. Are those
Pliers.
Pliers, right?
Yeah, no, they are. They're needle.
Okay, they are. Okay, yeah.
And of course, a file,
Yeah.
a small screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, and of course, can opener with a sharp edge on it in case you need to do something.
And I imagine you could use that as a bottle. There's something there that could be
Bottle
used as a
opener.
bottle opener.
It is. It's also a bottle opener. Can opener, bottle opener. And and on the sides, it's got rulers.
Oh, rulers.
Yeah, little measuring sticks.
I could see how that would be very handy.
Yeah, it's always with me, and it's come in handy multiple times.
I imagine if you're doing gigs in a band,
yeah,
then there are all types of weird situations that could come in useful.
It has many times when we've been playing live. Like one, for instance, my lead guitar player before he passed away had to strip some wires where the cable connected inside his guitar. So we unscrewed it, snipped the wires reef, and luckily his brother had his work truck with him, and he had a soldering iron in there, so we were able to solder it up just before going live. So everything worked out to be good. So that came in handy there.
I think you're selling me on the idea about having a multi-tool. I think that's what you're doing right now.
Well, that wasn't my intention, but they're definitely awesome to have.
Right. Because I usually just try to think of quotes, just try to have some quotes in my back pocket or some clever witticisms. But maybe that won't help me, Neil, in a real world situation where a tool would be the most useful thing.
Sure. Right. It's like you having your own little MacGyver in your pocket.
Yeah, dude. Right.
All you're missing is the paper clip and the bubble gum.
Now, have you ever used that to impress a girl?
My multi-tool?
Yeah, like, using like, hey, is there something going on here? Let me just pull out my useful multi-tool and MacGyver this crap up.
No, I can't say I've ever done that with it. I've
Yeah.
impressed my dad with it once.
Oh, really? How so?
Just because he needed something to get. I guess he used my needle nose pliers for this, and it wasn't a job for pliers, but he had dropped something in there, and he couldn't find any of his stuff anywhere. So he just grabbed mine, and he said, "Oh, you've got that with you? You've always got that with you." And he was able to reach in there with the needle nose pliers and pull the little tiny screw that he had dropped in there out. So
I'll tell you this true story about how I could have used needle nose pliers, but I didn't have any on me. I was at my kid's orthodontist, and I had to go out to the car for some reason. I went out to my car. My kids are still in the chair. I put my key to unlock the door, and the key just snapped. And I'm going, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, locksmith.
Well, I was able to get it out. Now, not because I had needle nose pliers, but because the orthodontist allowed me to use some of his tools.
Oh, cool.
To fish the key out. He had one of those really small plier thingies. I just say you can tell I'm a technician. I'm an engineer. He had one of those thingies
teeny,
that you
tiny
pull
plier.
the really teeny tiny form of that. Now maybe, and I was just lucky because I have an old car. I have a 2007 Corolla, and things kind of go wonky on it now and again.
Sure.
But if I had my own set of needle nose pliers or a multi-tool, maybe I wouldn't have had to ask him for his own wee pair.
Something to consider.
It is something to consider. Yeah.
And they're not expensive, and they come in handy more times than they don't.
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
I guess that makes sense. Sure. Yeah.
Now, have you passed those two bits of information along before now?
The two statements or the two advice things that I have?
Yeah, the two advice things.
Oh, yeah. I've mentioned to people all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially like when I'm talking to like younger kids, I go, remember, guys, the secret to success is enjoying it. And they're like, huh? And then you got to explain it. And of course, I'm always using better to have and not need than need and not have.
Right. Yeah. I would imagine it would take a minute or two to unpack for the especially if you're in a pub having a couple of pints or whatever.
Which is not uncommon for me.
Right. Exactly. It's not uncommon. Yeah, and you're trying to drop down some pint-sized wisdom there while having a pint.
Pint size. Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, see what I did there, right? And so yeah. But I definitely agree with you on the first part, and I think you made me a convert on the second part about being prepared.
They rule, man. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah. But because I'm not a materialistic person, and so I really don't want for a lot of things I don't need. Does that make sense? I don't know. I have what I have, and I'm very happy with what possessions I do have, and I don't really have a strong desire to accrue stuff just for the sake of accruing stuff, I guess.
I like tools. They come in handy. I got all kinds of tools.
Really?
Yeah. Cordless saws, drills, screw guns, you name it. But I was used to be in an industry where they came in a lot more handy than they do nowadays. I only pull them out whenever something is needed, right? And back in the day, when I was in the restoration industry for a little while, I was using that stuff all the time. So
you were doing. Now, what were you restoring if you were in the
restoration? Well, with fire, flood, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Cut out drywall, repaint,
Right, the glamorous life. That's what that is.
Yeah. Oh, I hated it. Like, this is not for me.
Right, because I imagine you have to be involved in a lot of dirty, moist.
Yeah.
Maybe icky. I would even say icky kind of situations. Yeah.
Itchy too, because we dealt with insulation. So.
Oh, dude, yeah. Do you have a crazy story about doing restoration work?
There was one instance, I guess it was during the summer, and we were redoing the bottom section of a wall in somebody's pool room, like they had an indoor pool, and it had moisture and mold had gotten in there, so they came in and they did all the spraying and dealing with the mold, and then we went in, replaced all the board, and painted. Well, the wife was rather, shall we say, friendly, and she used to come out barely anything on and bring us beers and lemonade or whatnot. So, my friend and I were just like, on a lunch break or something, already doing this, and she comes out with the skimpiest, like, she might as well have been wearing a bikini made out of dental floss, let's put it that way. And and she was hitting on my buddy pretty good one time, but it kind of took us for surprise. And of course, she completely toned down when her husband showed up.
Oh, of course. I think I've seen that movie and a variety of movies just like that.
Right? The old 80s movies. Exactly, yeah, which was kind of, and I'd never really seen anything like that before doing the job. Like, the coolest thing was we did one place that had a whole bunch of hummingbird feeders out front. When we were sitting out after finishing the job, having a few beers, there was probably 100 hummingbirds buzzing around these feeders, because they had about 12 of them, and each one, they were the larger ones, so each one had 8 little flowers on them.
Right.
And there was hundreds of them, a few different species. Oh yeah, just buzzing around.
Now, what kind of sound when you get hundreds of hummingbirds? Is it a high hum? Is it a low hum? Is it like an orchestra of hums? I've never heard more than of 0. I've never heard a hummingbird. I have tinnitus. I have this ringing in my ears at all times, and so I don't think my hearing might be sensitive enough to actually hear a hummingbird. So what is a gaggle? A gaggle? A herd? A flock of hummingbirds? What is it? What do they sound
flock,
like?
I think that's right. I would say like a small B-52. It's just literally like, when there's so many of them around, it's just like this constant buzz. So yeah, it was just like a little tiny B-52 bomber or something.
That's freaking hilarious. It's like something from a cartoon or something.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Well, that was some great advice that you shared with us. And like I said, I think you made me a convert for the micro tool, for the multi tool. That's what it is.
Multi tools are great. They've come in handy many, many times. This is probably the second one I've owned too.
So they last for a long time.
Oh yeah. And I've had this one for about 20 years. So they're pretty durable. Yeah.
Right. Well, if they come with a sonic screwdriver, I mean, that would be pretty cool too, right?
Wow. Wouldn't it?
Right.
Any issues you've got, you could take care of it just like that, right?
And I've never, I mean, I was big watching Doctor Who back in the day with Tom Baker and the Fourth. I never saw him change the batteries to that thing.
No, I don't think I've seen any doctors changing the batteries on that.
Might have a perpetual energy machine going on in there, or a forever battery.
Yeah, for sure. Why not? It's sci-fi. You can do anything in sci-fi.
You can do anything as long as it's internally coherent, right?
I kind of liked Capaldi's sonic screwdriver that was built into his glasses.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so he had the
I
cool
like that.
Ray-Ban looking shades with the sonic thing. He would just tap it and it would do whatever he needed it to do, which is pretty
Right.
cool.
That is cool. Well, Neil, the 604 Atheist, thanks for coming on Best Advice Ever. I think that was a lot of fun. I learned
thanks.
a lot of
I
things.
appreciate it.
I learned stuff. I learned stuff about you. I think I learned a little bit about life in this whole conversation.
A little bit about, well, if I left you with anything, a little bit of a new outlook on life, as you were saying, or the necessity for a multi-tool, then I've done my job.
Very good. So, dude, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at 604atheist. You can find me on Facebook at Neil Bernstein. You can't miss it. It's got my logo there, too. You can find me on YouTube. I have 2 channels. Well, technically 3, but the third one isn't in use. The 2 channels that you can find me, if you're into gaming, because I play a children's card game called Yu-Gi-Oh! Still. My ex-wife kids got me into that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I just actually shipped off a nice little box full of cards for Dear Mr. Atheist. Jimmy, he's looking to get back in the game, and he wanted to put together a Red Eyes deck, so I shipped him a bunch of cards about an hour ago. That's why I was at the post office, like I was telling you.
Oh, very cool, man.
Then that would be the Sayris 13 channel, and that's SAYRIS 13, and that's my gaming channel, which has kind of been inactive for the past few months, but there's tons of videos up there, unboxings, some dueling, stuff like that. And of course, my main focus channel right now, which is Neil the 604 Atheist, as my name state here is, and that's where I do the deconversion stories, or stories related to conversions, deconversions, religious type stuff. So,
yeah. Well, great. Thanks again for coming on.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me on.
Sure.
It's fun.
And I'll talk to you later.
You betcha.